Happy Sunday, everybody. Steve here. So one of Arlene and I, one of our fondest memories as kids, and there's so many of them, but there's one about Nathan. I was stationed in Charleston back in, this must have been, the mid 90s, probably 97. Nathan was, 4 at the time. It was like 4 years old or so, 4 or 5. And he's already starting to demonstrate that he had gotten his hard-headedness from me. That's what Arlene says all the time. But he was, I don't know, he was being difficult or something. And Arlene had gotten on to him about something, I don't remember. They stayed out of trouble. Nathan was a little stinker, but he stayed out of trouble mostly. So she was getting on to him about something. He was upset. And so he goes, well, I'm going to run away. And Arlene goes, well, all right. I mean, if that's the way you feel, son, then good luck to you. Here's the door. And so he goes back in his room, and he had this little play doctor kit thing. It was like this little plastic suitcase thing, and it had all these pretend doctor kit stuffs in it. And Nathan packed it up, and he had an old aviation chart that I had brought home and given them, and that was his map to get where he wanted to go, I guess. And he put like some underwear in there and a couple other things, and he walks into the kitchen, and Arlene was like doing the dishes or something, and he goes, well, here I go, I'm going. And he goes, well, all right, son, I'll miss you, but come home when you want. And so he walks out the door and into the carport, and then walks down the driveway. And of course, Arlene's standing in the kitchen, and where she was, she could look out and see him, and see where she was watching the whole time. And he kind of gets to the end of the driveway, and he kind of stands there, this big world. He's got his little suitcase, and his shoulders kind of slumped, and he put his head down, and then Arlene said she could see him kind of crying, and so she walks out the door and walks up to him and puts her arm around him and says, are you ready to come home now? You ready? You want some cookies and some milk? And he's like, yes. So I'm sorry. And she brings him back inside. Oh, I just we laughed thinking about that. I read this devotion today out of this Faith Alone, and it's called "Come to Christ." And this reminded me of that story and some other things. But John 6:37 is the verse, and all that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. And so I'm going to just read a little bit from this. If a servant who was obedient, and this is the words of Martin Luther, if a servant was obedient and had earned the approval of his master, it would be normal for his master to want him to stay. The master wouldn't be showing any special virtue by doing this. But if a master threw a good servant out of the house, that would be to the disgrace of the master, not the servant. On the other hand, if the servant was disobedient, and yet the master kept him in the house, then that would be to the master's credit. So even if you fall in sin, Christ won't push you away. A mother would never want to get rid of a child because the child was dirty, sick, or injured. Although young children often misbehave, no father would disinherit them or throw them out of the house for their bad behavior. The father would merely scold them. If you want to be my child, then you better stop doing what's wrong. I will overlook it this time. I love that. I love that verse in John 6:37. All the Father's given me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never drive away. I mean, no matter how bad things are, how bad you think it is, I mean, God's there. He's committed to you, and if your heart is right, if you come to the Lord, you come back to Him, truthfully and want to be with him, and in our weakness we fall or whatever. I mean, God says, I'm not going to drive you away. I'm going to keep forgiving you, keep bringing you back, and keep working with you. And it's a process. It's a journey. We're going to get there. Don't give up. And I was also remembering when I was a commander of the C-17 squadron up in McCord at the 8th Airlift Squadron. I was a commander of that from 2009 to 11. And I remember when I first took command. So I took command. The next day, the operations group, which is the squadrons are underneath the operations group, the operations group commander changed. And then the week after that, we got a new wing commander. So I had been there for about a year and a half by that point. So I kind of knew, the way how things went and all. So all of a sudden we get all this new leadership and all new things. And the new wing commander comes in and he says, here's the deal. If the new policy is if a person gets a DUI, a driving while under the influence, if somebody gets a DUI, the airman's supervisor and their squadron commander has to come see me the next Monday morning in full service dress uniform and explained what happened and how they're going to fix it. And we heard about that. All the squadron commanders kind of looking around at each other going, oh, man, I don't want to do that. Well, guess who was the first one to have to do that? And so that next weekend, he says this policy, and I'm like, holy smoke, okay. I had this young female loadmaster, airman, drive on base and get pulled and get a DUI. And I heard about it. This was on a Saturday, and then it's like, oh, here we go. Okay, well, Monday morning, we're standing tall in front of the wing commander talking about this, and I remember at the time being angry because I was a brand new squadron commander. There was a lot of things that just needed to be fixed, I thought, with the squadron, a lot of ththings I wanted to do, and having something like that happen just takes the wind out of your sails. It's just you now. It's the leadership thought it was so bad, and it is. It is bad. But it's like all energy is like fighting this off, and to make it worse, like the next week we had another one. So now all eyes are on my squadron. And what are you going to do about it? And it was just that was some dark times. But anyway, with this young airman, so what do you do? I think that I can't remember exactly what I did. I do remember giving her extra duties. Like, hey, you're gonna do this in the squadron. You're gonna help make the squadron better. You're gonna try to make this right. You're gonna be assigned extra duties. But I did. I remember bringing her in, and I was talking to her, and I said, okay, look, this is horrible. This is terrible, terrible, terrible. And you're lucky, that I'm not talking to your parents because you died. So this is good, but it's on you now. You got to make this right, and I'll promise you, if you put the effort in, if you try to be a good airman, if you try to fix this, I'll look past this, and I won't hold this against you. And she took it to heart. She took it to heart. I didn't drive her away. I didn't run her out on a rail or anything else, and I was angry that it happened. But people are people. I always used to say, if you were a commander of a squadron full of robots, it'd be easy. But people are different. People are tougher to work with because they have up their own minds and everything else. So, and that was the point I made to this female. I was like, look, it's on you now. If you do the right thing, if you do, I promise you, I'm going to look past this and what you're doing now. She did, and this was in 2009, and 2010, she was my Airman of the Year. And that's one of the things I'm most proud about, because she took it to heart. She put her nose to the grindstone. She fixed it. She was a great loadmaster and one of my favorite people, because of what she did. And she moved past that. She changed, and I didn't drive her away. And because she wanted to change. She wanted to make it right. So anyway, I love that. And this last little thought, Israel, the word Israel, Jacob, when he was on his way back to the land of his fathers, he wrestled with God one night. You remember the story, and they finally the person touched him on the hip and threw his hip out of joint or whatever, but they changed his name to Israel, which means wrestles with God or struggles with God. Sorry, get a little congestion, but that's, he's not going to run you off, and he says that, but if you struggle against his leadership, if you struggle against his love, if you struggle against the things he's trying to guide you to, he's not going to run you off, but boy, your life will be tougher. It'll be a lot richer and more meaningful if you come to that point where God loves you and God wants the best for you. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. And you struggle and you stumble sometimes, but he's not going to run you off. Take a step back and go, am I struggling with God? Is there something that I need to do? When we're standing on the end of the driveway crying, we realize that our own way that we want to go is not what's best for us. And then here comes the Lord, and he's going to put his arm around us and take us inside for some cookies. So anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope this is a blessing. So let me know what you think, okay? Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.